Anybody can do a top 10 video with ease, but when you put pen to paper and finger to text, here on Tap Out Talk, we give you an Elite 8. This is our top-ranked WWE Greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. Let's get in. Coming in at number 8, our pick, the Honky Tonk Man, proclaims himself as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And he has one major claim to that fame, and it's an incredible 454 days in his first ever reign as champion. Honky's reign got off to a shocking start when he upset Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to win the championship, and then he proceeded to royally piss off wrestling fans by retaining his title via disqualification by not hook, but crook, in the countout, and loss after loss to keep the belt with plenty of help from his managers and valets Jimmy Hart and Peggy Sue. Steamboat, Billy Jack Haynes, George the Animal Steel, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and even, yes, Bruno Sammartino couldn't take that Intercontinental Championship away from the Honky Tonk Man, continuing to proclaim himself as the greatest Intercontinental Championship of all time. Honky Tonk has lasted all the previous champions up until the modern era. Randy Savage, who turned face and feuded furiously with the Elvis impersonator. After 1 year, 2 months, 27 days, the Honky Tonk Man finally ran out of luck at SummerSlam 1988, where the Ultimate Warrior crushed him in a mere 28 seconds. Number 7 on our list, Chris Jericho. 88 at SummerSlam. Growing in popularity, the Warrior squashed most opponents before his infamous feud with Ravishing Rick Rude, which he lost the title at WrestleMania 5 with a little help of the Weasel Bobby Heenan. In a short amount of time, the Warrior would recapture the title at SummerSlam in 1989. The Ultimate Warrior then took the Intercontinental Championship to the Ultimate Challenge and the Ultimate level at WrestleMania 6 in front of 67,678 fans in the Toronto Sky Dome, where he would put his title on the line against the immortal Hulk Hogan to become the first and only man to hold the WWF World and Intercontinental titles at the same time. It was a triumph and one for the ages, one for my favorite personal childhood memories, and it may never be repeated ever again. 2 reigns for the Warrior combined a 434 days as IC champion, vacated the championship after winning the big WWF champion at WrestleMania 6. Number 5 on our list is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. You want to talk innovation, you want to talk working man's title. That's why the Heartbreak Kid made our list. Shawn was another legend who used the Intercontinental title to move up from the card and achieve success as the WWF champion later as the stepping stone. To this day, Michaels' time as Intercontinental champion is remembered for both being unforgettable in the ring and controversial when he lost his smile for a brief moment. Shawn won his first Intercontinental title from the British Bulldog on the final Saturday night's main event in October 1992. He then went on to challenge Bret the Hitman Hart, his arch rival, for the WWF Championship at Survivor Series in 1992. Although that title shot ended in defeat, HBK remained the IC champ and continued to defend the title to anybody in his path. He lost the belt to his old friend and tag team partner Marty Jannetty back on May 17th in 1993. It was regarded as many as the WWF's best match of 93 as well, and one of Marty Jannetty's top of his career. Shawn would regain the title a few weeks later though, and he was suspended for failing a drug test and stripped of the championship. Shawn, however, being the ultimate opportunist, turned a negative into a positive by returning from suspension with his real Intercontinental Championship, claiming that he'd never been defeated for it, and thus setting up Shawn versus Razor Ramon in the Steal the Show Intercontinental Championship Classic at WrestleMania 10 in the first ever pay-per-view ladder match. he would officially regain the title from Jeff Jarrett in 1995 and triumph over Razor in an equally great battle again in a ladder match at SummerSlam. Unfortunately, Shawn's notorious 90s ego got him into trouble again with a bar incident outside of New York. Thus, he had to forfeit the title to Dean Douglas, who later lost it in no time. Despite the infamy, Shawn still remains another legend who made the Intercontinental Championship mean so much in the WWE. Number 4, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. It is none other than, you may know him as Walter, but Gunther. Dominating WWE, Gunther quickly defeated Ricochet to win the Intercontinental Championship. Little did we know what the future would hold for the former NXT star and standout. One standout match is that Gunther clashed at the castle with Sheamus, and in an icy spirit of that title, stole the show, even in an instant classic, from the main event of that evening. While holding the IC title, Gunther also went on to compete in the Royal Rumble 2023, being one of the final 2 competitors after entering at number 1, lasting 71 minutes and 25 seconds before being eliminated by Cody Rhodes, who would enter at number 30. Also, in 2023, Gunther would not only defeat other WWE stars, but he would beat the record-breaking Honky Tonk Man's 454-day record. That record has now extended beyond into the year 2024, beyond 600 days in total. Who will be the man that will finally dethrone Gunther, if any, if ever? Let's find out. Number 3 on our list, the tag team specialist turned singles competitor, Bret the Hitman Hart, did something that was just difficult for his era. He broke away from a successful tag team in pursuit of a singles career. Being the excellence of execution, it was something Bret was up for the challenge. Bret Hart was now primed for single competition and immediately set his sights on the Intercontinental Championship in 1991. After chasing Mr. Perfect at house shows, Bret finally bagged the Intercontinental Championship at Madison Square Garden at SummerSlam. Hart would defend the Intercontinental Championship proudly and valiantly, like it was the single greatest prize in the wrestling industry. He never dreamed that he would be able to be world champion, so this was his world championship. Bret took on everybody that came in his path, personified everything. He was a workhorse and defined what the Intercontinental Championship should be as a workhorse title, especially with the overall defenses night after night. After losing the title to the Mountie in January 92, Bret would then regain the championship in another classic with Rowdy Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8. Bret continued to defend the title once again proudly up on his shoulder, continuing against Shawn Michaels in the first ever ladder match in the WWE ever. And then the Hitman took the belt away at Wembley Stadium in the main event of SummerSlam, losing it to the British Bulldog in a match that will go down as one of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time. 2 unforgettable reigns totaling only 288 days, but Bret Hart arguably made more history with this Intercontinental Championship than any other superstar in WWF history. Not only is he one of the greatest IC champions of the 90s, but overall, he could be the best there is, the best there ever will be. Number 2, none other than Pedro Morales. One of the most popular wrestlers at the time, this Latino star made so much history throughout his career with his innovative style for his time. Having already been one of the longest reigning and most successful WWE champions ever, Pedro won his first Intercontinental title on the August 12th of 1980 and became the first ever Triple Crown winner in WWF history, winning all of the titles that were available to him. After defeating Ken Patera for the IC title, Morales elevated the belt further with his victories over the living legend Larry Sabisco, Stan Hansen, Sergeant Slaughter, and Killer Khan. His feud with Don Morocco was bloody and brutal and saw the champion switch between 2 fierce rivals. Pedro became the first ever 2-time IC champion also after beating Morocco in a Texas death match. and he got his reign up to an incredible 424 days. Morales continued to reign supreme as the Intercontinental Champion in a rematch against the Magnificent Morocco and also other opponents, as well as a very high intense rivalry with Greg the Hammer Valentine. Overall though, despite having one of the most success and revered titles ever held, Pedro Morales' time ran out in January 1983 when he lost the title to his arch rival Don Morocco. Pedro Morales reigned a total of 617 days with the IC Championship. It's a record that, who knows, might not ever be broken, but it could. Made by a true legend that will go on to live in Hall of Fame forever in our hearts and in our minds. Pedro Morales was simultaneously one of the world's greatest world champions and intercontinental champions in WWF history. He deserves the number 2 spot. And what I want to say about deserving is, I definitely appreciate, what you guys do for me here on Tap Out Talk. Hey, if you guys could just hit that like button for me, it helps me out a great deal. But thank you either way for listening. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We're going to bring out all kinds of content throughout the year. But let's get on to our number 1 spot on the roster. And our number 1 in the countdown is the Savage one indeed, Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man is also regarded to many as the overall definitive Intercontinental Champion of many eras. With the wonderful Miss Elizabeth by his side, Randy Savage's legacy, with or without the Intercontinental Championship, will live on in the annals of time. When Savage won his one and only Intercontinental Championship, what followed was a mammoth, huge 414-day reign of pure Macho Man Randy Savage, ooh yeah, greatness. Upon defeating Tito Santana in the Boston Garden in 1986, Randy Savage truly defined everything an Intercontinental Championship workhorse should be, an untouchable in the ring, and proudly proclaiming the IC belt as the single best prize in all of WWF. He was embarking on many title defenses. Macho Man fought once again with pride. He, in hook or crook, he won with rivalries such as George the Animal Steele and even Bruno Sammartino. Randy even defeated then WWF Champion Hulk Hogan while Intercontinental Champion via countout. And then of course, there was this interview. Savage's promos were always hypnotic and drawn in and brilliant and way ahead of their time. He was, to say, the cream of the crop that rises to the top. Talking the talk as well and walking the walk truly cemented the Macho Man as one of the greatest ever to hold the Intercontinental Championship. But nothing can go down as one of his best accolades while holding the title. His match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in a timeless masterpiece at WrestleMania 3 that stole the show from the main event that was Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. He was now primed and ready for the major title with that matchup, showing that the smaller guys can make it, leading the path for guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels to also move ahead in the industry. And he was primed to move ahead. At WrestleMania 4, Randy Savage became the first Intercontinental Champion to go on and become WWF World Champion. Macho Man Randy Savage's title reign is simply just one for our memories and in our hearts and our ages, and as unforgettable as anything along his career. Both he and Miss Elizabeth will be missed, and they'll stay in our minds. Ooh yeah! Guys, what do you say? Did we get it right? Hey, if you have your own idea of your top 10 best Intercontinental Championships, leave that in the comments below. And it's not goodbye around here, it's just game over.